A year ago, we set up Unlocked for those abandoned by the mainstream media that unquestioningly towed the government line on the lockdown.
Such a powerful message, skillfully used. It's brainwashing. It really was brainwashing.
With zero political opposition and no media scrutiny, Britain was in danger of becoming a nation of lockdown addicts. Unlocked questioned the consensus.
We had grave concerns about the economic impact of lockdown.
You can't switch an economy off for 3 months or 4 months and then expect nothing to happen.
We raised the alarm that by staying at home to protect the NHS, we might also be creating a wave of preventable deaths.
Cancer treatment sort of ground to a halt. Cancer diagnosis completely ground to a halt.
Another early victim of the pandemic turned out to be free speech.
We're cultivating a culture in which to make those kind of jokes will and could and does destroy people's careers.
There needs to be a proper public debate about the public health advice, the government's advice that it's issuing during this crisis, not least because the government has quite often got it wrong.
We absolutely and fundamentally defend free speech. We believe that that is the mechanism to which we build a tolerant society.
We voice concern about the devastating effect of lockdowns on our children's education.
Never before has it been more clear to me that technology cannot replace a school and a good teacher. We need the kids back in school.
And question the true effectiveness of masks.
What's your position on masks?
They're largely pointless. There's no evidence to support their use outside a healthcare setting.
We shouted out that our pubs and restaurants were being decimated.
Many people are staring right in the face of business failure.
If we don't open in April or May, it's a bloodbath out there, really.
When Leicester was locked down, we uncovered the community impact of slavery in the city's garment industry.
The modern slavery unit of the Home Office, and they said to me they estimated there were about 7,500 people in modern slavery in the UK today. I said, well, I think your figures are miles out, because I think there's 10,000 in Leicester alone.
We applauded the commitment of workers in the NHS, but also highlighted how the system was failing patients when they were at their lowest ebb.
Remember also that people with chronic disease are more likely to live on their own. So many of their support structures that were in there giving quality of life have disappeared.
Time and time again, we put pressure on the government to deliver democracy via a meaningful Brexit.
We do not need the EU. We can stand on our own 2 feet, and they should stay in flipping Brussels. That's the talk that we want to hear.
Boris Johnson, with or without Dominic Cummings, knows that if it is seen that he is to betray Brexit, then he really is finished.
The withdrawal agreement was predicated on the assumption that there would be a trade deal. That was what it was all about.
And if the EU wants to act like a protectionist racket, well, crack on with it, mate.
We are mightily capable of self-government. We are capable of global leadership, and it's been the EU that's been holding us back.
While many mainstream channels eulogised the EU, we revealed that Brexit had sparked a wave of pan-continental Euroscepticism.
I sincerely hope that the UK will continue to represent this hope for all the peoples of Europe that aspire to freedom and democracy.
We stuck up for our betrayed fishing industry.
Fishing is the most sustainable, renewable resource the UK has.
We aren't able to control access to our waters. We aren't able to decide quota shares.
It would be unforgivable to do any deals on fishing at this stage, because the government will just be throwing themselves to the wolves.
We predicted the democratic mess of the US presidential race.
I will virtually guarantee we're going to have a situation where somebody makes it into a contested election, and we will not know who was elected on November 4th.
We revealed how the government had gagged the mainstream media and just how many journalists had fallen into line with them on COVID, with the help of Ofcom.
Ofcom issued this guidance, effectively suppressing proper public scrutiny, public debate of this kind of advice.
The BBC of old would have questioned, would have challenged, we'd have seen features, we'd have seen investigations.
The disconnect between the media classes and ordinary people is completely vast. And we have never once flinched from questioning whether lockdown was and is the right solution.
Lockdowns don't work. In fact, they just make everything worse.
As lockdown ground on, few in the mainstream media showed any desire to hold the government to account. Controversial stories were ignored. Opposing voices were silenced. Coverage was biased.
The police should not have should not be a political entity in any way.
Professor Ferguson's completely ludicrous projection, which 510,000 deaths.
We're moving away from science and reason, and we're going back into a time of superstition and faith.
Let's get our cities and the economy of those cities, the nighttime economy, open in a safe way, as we have all agreed, and let's get our cities back on track.
We took on the big topics the mainstream media shied away from.
I think the threat isn't just from Islamist extremism. I mean, if I may, I also think the threat comes from our inability to assert who we are.
The Islamists have learned to play the kind of cultural, liberal, militant identity politics game.
We looked at how law and order was increasingly politicised and deferential to a woke agenda.
Regular rank and file officers right the way through the country, they are sick and tired of becoming political pawns. They're sick and tired of being expected to go out and do TikTok videos.
Thinking about wasting police time investigating these so-called hate crimes when we have so many more problems to be worrying about right now.
We welcome politicians brave enough to speak out.
We've had this intrusion into the most intimate aspects of our lives. And it is extraordinary that, we're prepared to put up with it.
Queen of the North, June Slater, was a fearless champion of common sense.
Please put your green revolution back on page 55 of your manifesto, where it belongs. Build back better. Build back bollocks.
Calvin Robinson took down the new racists who tried and failed to silence him.
These racist grifters would have us believe we live in an oppressive society where everyone is either a victim or an oppressor.
Laura Dodsworth spoke with eminent scientists who dared to question lockdowns.
Is zero COVID achievable?
One of the problems with zero COVID is it's essentially a utopian project. And like most utopians, its advocates think that the end justifies the means.
Peter Hitchens told us why our freedom is in peril.
They copied, in a moment of panic, the most totalitarian and unfree society on earth, because they thought that it might work.
We also had a pop at Meghan and Harry.
Why isn't Harry, as a prince, speaking about more important things? It beggars belief that they could think of themselves that way. It was all about me, and Meghan.
There was some light relief. I don't want to misassign your nationality, but I think you're Scottish.
I am Scottish.
Yeah, you're Scottish.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Letizia.
As lockdown extended, we campaigned and got results.
When the government cancelled Remembrance Sunday, we stood defiant.
I'd like to pay compliment to Unlocked for the stand you took. I think you've spearheaded this campaign.
When the government shut down the entire education system, we said, unlock the schools.
To tell my two children that they couldn't go back to school after Christmas, that the one thing they'd been given back was now being taken away again, it's devastating.
My eldest son has serious special educational needs, and it's affected him so much.
We have fundamentally failed children on the safeguarding level.
I'm furious with the government. I don't think our children deserve this.
As pubs took an £8 billion hit, we said, unlock the pubs.
The ups and downs, the emotional roller coaster of this as being a publican has not been nice, that's all.
The human need to meet other people and be social, I think, is just absolutely immense.
Unlock Chairman Ben Habib upped the ante by taking the government to court over the Northern Ireland Protocol, teaming up with Baroness Kate Hoey, Arlene Foster and Lord Trimble.
Millions of you tuned in, thousands of you supported us, for which we are eternally grateful. But as lockdown slowly moves to its end, it's time for us to change, to be at the heart of what comes next.
The new Unlocked, coming soon.